Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, the YesPhonics channel. I'm your host, Cheyenne Adamson, and this is where teachers, tutors, homeschoolers, and educators everywhere come for valuable teaching information and insights. So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I have mentioned for a while that I was going to be bringing you guys some educational, strictly educational content, and today is that day. So I'm pretty much just going to jump right into it. Today we're going to be doing sort of like a reading of the Phonics for English reading, spelling, and writing K through 3rd grade English as a second language curriculum manual. And really it's just the Phonics for English Express manual for short. We are going to be reading from my Grandma Pauline Adamson's Phonics for English Reading, Spelling, and Writing Express. And I thought this would be not only useful and valuable content for you guys, because we're going to be going through a K through 3rd grade full curriculum manual, step by step, lesson by lesson. But I also thought it'd be a lot of fun, because I haven't cracked this bad boy open for a hot minute, as the kids say. And I just thought it'd be a good time and valuable for everybody. And I know a few of you wanted just strictly educational content, so I thought I'd bring that to you. So here we go. This is the Phonics for English Reading, Spelling, and Writing Express Orton-Spalding method-based phonetic arts program from YesPhonics by Pauline May Adamson. Oh, that's really sweet of them. That's really sweet of my grandma. Dedicated to Cheyenne, our superstar. Well, Graham, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't end up being a superstar. Not yet, anyways. But I'm trying. So it's developed by Pauline M. Adamson, which is Graham. And it was edited by Verlynn Dean Adamson, my dad, and my grandma's son. God rest your soul, Dad. I hope you're doing well up there as well. Hope you and Graham are having a good time. And me. I edited and illustrated some of the phonograms as well. Actually, back in 2012, I did a whole re-edit of this entire manual, kind of just updating it. It used to be like all of the word markings, and you guys will see kind of what I'm talking about later in these lessons, but the actual words themselves, the word markings and the numbers and the some of the lettering was actually handwritten into the manual. So it was a little mom and pop, which is totally fine. Like, that's the origins of this program. Like I said in my last video, I'm just one guy. I'm a one-guy operation. Running this here show, okay? So that's pretty much it. It's going back to its roots. It's really hard to actually describe the difference because, there's just a certain expectation of quality that people have now that back when the manual was first conceived, that kind of expectation wasn't quite there, so you could get away with just being a little bit more mom and pop. So it says here, unless otherwise specified, no part of this book may be reproduced without the written permission of the publisher. Well, you have my permission to not only download our Fetch app products, which is, you can get this manual right here that we're going through right now for $19.99 on our Fetch app store, which is in the description below of this video. Check it out. Once you purchase it via PayPal, it will automatically download and send the the PDF file to you, and I give you permission to print as many copies as you want. Give them to your friends, your family. If you have grandkids, give them to your kids so they can start teaching your grandkids the 72 Orton phonograms and the 1,300 most commonly used words of the English language. Print as many of them as you want. I want to get them out to as many people as possible, and I made it competitively priced, dirt cheap, as they say. So, have as many as you want. But it is a DIY situation, so you got to do it yourself. And yeah, so, and if you have any questions or concerns, you can still, well, that email isn't valid anymore. The YesPhonics at YesPhonics.com. You can go ahead and email me if you do have any questions. You can email me at YesPhonics at gmail.com, though, if you want. Because I'm an old hand at this manual, so if you have questions on it or whatever, shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to, help you out. Or if you want to just leave a comment, I do watch the comments like a hawk. So if you just have a question, just leave it in the comments, and I'll answer your question in the comments. So, as you can see here, it's got a pretty nice table of contents. We've got the introduction, the scope, and like I said, I'm just going to be reading through this from start to finish. And I'm going to try to keep these lessons from like 10 to 20 minutes. I think I'm already at the 8-minute mark now. So this one might be a 25, 30-minute lesson. Hopefully that's okay, you guys. But I will try to keep them in the future anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes because I know that, especially educational videos can get kind of long if you're making them past 15, 20 minutes. So it's going to give us a sequence, and then we've got this teaching materials directory here, which is going to go over how to teach manuscript writing. So how to actually teach your kids physically how to write the phonogram letters. So AKA the alphabet letters and the other phonograms as well. So all of the phonogram letters. It's also going to teach you how to cursive write, which is going to be great, especially for me because it has been a while. It has been a hot minute since I've done some cursive writing. So we're going to be learning right along with you guys on this bad boy. It's also going to just teach you how to teach the YesPhonics program. It's got a phonogram sound sequences and captions list, which is super handy dandy when you want to just reference one of our catchy little mnemonic phrases and or a caption that goes along with the phonogram. Like, for example, the first letter of the alphabet, aka the first phonogram letter, which is A. And A has 3 sounds, A, Ah. And the caption to it is have a ball. And it's got a dude on the beach with a volleyball. Nice little mnemonic caption to kind of just stick in your child's brain on how to remember those 3 sounds. Have a ball. So that's pretty cool, and we do that for all the phonograms. And shout out to my dad because he came up with, I guess both Graham and Dad came up with the captions, but definitely my dad was putting a lot of brain power into that. So good on you, Dad. Good on you. Yeah, so it's going to go ahead and how to teach spelling as well, how to teach word markings, how to teach the spelling rules chart, which there's, for those of you who are unaware or whatever, and the spelling rules of the English language are loose, and they're not even really designed to be, memorized, like rote memorization by kids. It's really just you go over these enough to where it just kind of becomes like a muscle memory kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. But for those of you who didn't know, there are 29 spelling rules to the English language. And actually, I'm bouncing all over the place here, you guys. But in this particular video, I might just go over this here. I might just kind of just go through the table of contents here for the very first lesson. Just wetting your whistle for the next lesson, if you will, right? Everybody's like, no, we're not excited for teaching the English language. No, I'm kidding. You should be excited. I'm excited. I'm ecstatic. Okay, cringe. I'll try to stop being cringe right now. So let's go ahead, and it teaches you how to teach word markings, which is cool. Word markings are essentially just, if there's a silent final E on the word have, let's say, H-A-V-E, have. There's a silent E. You put a double underline under the E. The double underline signifies that it's a silent letter. And you do that with every single word that your child writes out or that you write out. You'll put these word markings either above or below depending on the type of word marking. And we'll go through those word markings, here fairly soon. I'm not sure if it'll be in the next lesson or whenever it will be, but it will be soon. So it's going to teach us word markings. And there's also going to be the aforementioned spelling rules chart. So it'll give you a handy-dandy chart in order to reference these spelling rules. It has spelling rules for the first sound of vowels, which is handy as well. And then syllables and suffixes demystified because they are kind of mysterious sometimes. In this manual, you guys, you're going to see that it's got lesson plans and worksheets, which is awesome because once you actually get to that section, you'll be able to copy it on your printer and then just print out as many lesson plans and worksheets as you want, depending on how many students or children that you're teaching. So it's like unlimited, which is the awesome part about this program. But it's going to go over consonants and vowels. It's going to go over multi-letter phonogram reference chart. They're going to go over, well, I am. It's me. I'm going to go over syllables. I'm going to go over sentence, which includes how to form an original sentence and also how to perform and form a paragraph. I don't know how you perform a paragraph. We're going to find out how you perform a paragraph. But yeah, it's going to show you how to form a paragraph. And then it's also going to show you how to form silent final E's, which we talked about just a little bit. It's going to go over nouns and adjectives. It's going to go over 4 ways a single vowel can say A, E, I, Y, which equals I, O, U. Okay, so, and all of this will make way more sense when I'm actually going over the lessons and going through it all. It'll be very step by step, and I think your children are going to get a lot of value out of this. And, you know, just as a heads up, this video isn't necessarily designed to just sit your child down in front of it, although you might be able to once we get going. But these videos are more for you guys because I've checked the demographics. I checked the math. I checked it twice. I looked at the demographics. And most of you guys are anywhere from 24 to 36 years old. And a majority of you guys are female. So, hello. I'm kidding. I am taken. So I'm sorry about that, but you know nobody was wondering about that anyways. But I thought I'd have to say it anyways. She is awesome. Anywho, but I know like 40% of you are guys as well, and probably so represent my dads out there. Glad to have you on the channel as well. But basically, what I'm really trying to say here, you guys, is that these videos are more for you guys. To just go over, and then you'll have a really solid understanding once you download the products. You'll have a very solid understanding on how to teach these lessons, and you can kind of use these videos, these single videos that I do, you can kind of use them as your lessons, if that makes any sense. It's going to go over verbs as well, pronouns and prepositions. It's going to go over FL and S doubling rule. It's going to go over all the shs, the TI, SI, and CI, which all say sh, of course, sh. And it's going to go I and Y, say E. It's going to go over plurals and suffixes. It's going to go over C before G or EI or Y. It's going to go over homonyms and homographs. This is pretty handy. I probably should have been doing this beforehand, just highlighting it. Going to go over the E's dropping rule when you drop an E. It's got a lot of great examples for that. We're going to go over rules and suffixes. We're going to go over the 6 spellings of ER. We're going to go over the ED, past tense endings. We're going to go over Rule 2-1-1 accents. Going to go over I and O followed by 2 consonants. As you can see, there's a lot to the English language. And we're going to be going over all of that in a phonics-oriented way. Then we're going to go over the L dismiss rule, which really applies to compound words. We're going to go over the OUGH, the wild phonogram team, right here, which is pretty cool. We're going to go over the Wise exchange rule. We're going to go over contractions reference chart. We're going to go over comparative words reference chart. You can see I'm just like rifling through this now. We're going to go over comparative words reference chart. We're going to go over the IE or the EI question. Which one is it? Is it IE or EI? Well, we're going to give you some really great examples of which one it is at which time. And then we're going to go over the other phonograms that rarely get talked about. And then there's a word analysis root with rules application. And then we've also got a prefixes and suffixes list. We've got the extended errors spelling words sections directory. And then we've got a resources section. And the resources mainly consist of the Appendix A phonogram pages, which are the reproducible masters, which will be in this manual. Again, if you guys want to purchase this Phonics for English fully designed curriculum for K through 3rd grade or English as a second language student, you can in the description below. And it's for $19.99. One of the best deals you'll find online. You can find The Writing Road to Reading, which is a similar manual, but I don't think it's quite as teacher-friendly as ours, and it's only like, ours is only $10 more, so why not go with the teacher-friendly and the more comprehensive manual? And you get to look at my ugly mug the entire time, going through custom lessons. So why not? Why the hell not? You know what I mean? And then it also has our reproducible 3-line manuscript writing, which is great because you're going to need a bunch of those when you're teaching your kids how to write these phonograms and write the words and sentences and paragraphs and all that good stuff. So let's talk about the introduction. This YesPhonics learning system is based on the work of 4 brilliant revolutionary educators. The Spalding method forms the base of the Phonics for English learning system. The 72 Orton phonograms are the cornerstone of the curriculum. The course is based on Orton-Spalding's multisensory approach, 29 spelling rules, and word markings. The Ayres spelling list and Jean Zier's concept of the phonogram illustrations with sound sequence keyword captions. And a huge shout out to Jean Zier. She was my 1st through 3rd grade teacher when I was a wee little tyke, and she taught at a little school in Roberts, Montana. Definitely was a huge role model in my life, and I have some of the fondest memories I have of middle school was in Jean Zier's class. So a huge shout out to Jean Zier. This is where my grandma got a lot of inspiration from what Jean Zier was doing in the classroom, teaching us phonograms, and the phonics was a huge cornerstone for my education and learning career, if you will. So thank you, Mrs. Zier. I really appreciate you, and I hope you're doing well. And if you see this video, feel free to shoot me an email, yesphonics@gmail.com. I'd love to catch up with you. Maybe we can even get you on the podcast and have a nice podcast episode. That'd be a lot of fun. We should do that. Yes, please, hit me up, Mrs. Zier. That'd be great. Dr. Samuel Orton. Dr. Orton isolated the most used phonograms that represent the common spelling patterns of English. And I guess I could zoom this in a little bit as well. The English alphabet is a sound symbol system. It has 26 letters that say the 45 single sounds heard in English speech. The phonograms consist of the 26 alphabet letters and 46 set combinations, which are teams of letters, which also consist of multiletters, with 2 or 4 letters each. Each phonogram has 1 to 6 sounds. The phonograms are the phonics platform all students of English need in order to reach their highest potential. And this is super important for English as a second language learners. For all of my English as a second language folks out there, learning these phonograms is going to give you the keys to unlock the English language. The phonogram sound sequence should be rehearsed until the phonogram stands out as a sound in the printed word. Now let's talk a little bit about Leonard Ayres. Dr. Ayres was a successful teacher and researcher who lived from 1879 to 1946. He served as a school administrator and the director of the Department of Education and a statistician for the Russell Sage Foundation. Dr. Ayres searched out the 1,000 words most commonly used every day in the English language. These words were derived from numerous tests arranged in order of increasing difficulty, marking off the points at which each successive grade could use the spelling list. So that's pretty ingenious. He literally invented a list of words that corresponded to which grade and which words were the most common to use in a particular grade level. Orton-Spalding. Miss Spalding was an elementary teacher and a student of Dr. Orton. She discovered that her special education students, using the Orton methods, were learning to read better than her other students. Using Orton's methods and phonograms, an extended Ayres spelling list, 29 spelling rules, word markings, and other innovations. Spalding developed the highly successful, multisensory, systematic, intensive, explicit, direct phonetic language arts method designed for all students, known as the Spalding method. This method is set forth in the teacher's textbook, The Writing Road to Reading, which we aforementioned, which was printed in 1957 and which went to 2003. Although there have been updated renditions printed since 2003, obviously. This text requires training in order to teach the material. And that's kind of the thing. It's like, I think that's the biggest complaint, if you could use that word loosely, of the Reading Road to Writing, was that, you kind of had to be a pretty sharp teacher, somebody with some education in order to teach that. My grandma did a great job in kind of designing something where you didn't really need to be a teacher with a degree in order to figure out how to design your lesson plans and all that. We give you all of that within this manual, which is cool. Gene Zier. All right, you're back, Gene. Getting your own section. I like it. Let's highlight all this down here. So, Gene Zier, a longtime Spalding Method teacher and curriculum director in an award-winning rural public school. Mrs. Zier developed, integrated, and school-tested the concept of illustrations with keyword captions. These depict the sound sequences of the phonogram, which Mrs. Zier taught to her first and second grade students. The phonogram's illustration and keyword caption is an easily learned memory device. The keywords in the caption depict the phonogram's sound sequence for fast, accurate, and fluent reading. It is vital to know the phonogram sounds in order of use frequency. The first sound of the phonogram is the most often used. The second sound is used less often, and so forth as the third through sixth sounds diminish in use frequency. So let's talk about the research on the Orton-Spalding method, which is pretty fascinating, really. And I think, for me at least, and I'm not necessarily a purist when it comes to education in any form. I believe you should use any form or multiple forms to help students learn at their highest and best capacity. So I'm not necessarily dissing on whole language, although I have in the past. I have dissed pretty hardcore on whole language education. Although I think there is some use for whole language in the classroom. Phonograms, hands down, are the best, in my humble opinion. So the research on the Orton-Spalding method. Labeled students and incarcerated juveniles. In 1986, the Galagos Elementary School in Tucson, Arizona, had 623 students, with 46% of the intermediate students in special education. Most of them classified as learning disabled. After using Romualdo Spalding's The Writing Road to Reading for 1 year, only 4 students remained in the special education section. That's incredible. That's incredible. Wow. There's 623 of them, and only 4 remained after using Romualdo Spalding's Phonics, The Writing Road to Reading. After a 2-year study of the causes of imprisonment of juveniles, Michael S. Brunner, I'm sorry, sir, if I'm mispronouncing your name, concluded that the cause was sustained frustration from the inability to learn to read in public schools. His recommendation, teach a complete multisensory phonetic reading method, such as the Spalding method. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you just think of it, and you guys know me, I'm a common sense kind of guy. If you think about it from a common sense perspective, if you're frustrated, if you can't read, that basically is like a key that you don't have to being a functioning member in society. So Michael S. Brunner concluded that the cause was sustained frustration from the inability to learn to read in public schools. His recommendation, teach a complete multisensory phonetic reading method, such as the Spalding method. The University of Delaware. Dr. Sylvia Farnham Diggory, cognitive psychologist at the University of Delaware, reviews ways in which principles of cognitive science are applied to the design of instructional methods for beginning readers in her textbook, Cognitive Processes in Education, 1992. After reviewing over 100 methods described in Dr. Robert Arkman's book, Approaches to Beginning Reading, Dr. Farnham Diggory states, I wish I could say that there are many published curriculums which embody the principles that have just been described. Sadly, there are not. I have found only one, which we have adapted for the use in the Reading Study Center at the University of Delaware. We did find one published program that was extremely helpful, in part because of its practical guidance and in part because of its theoretical insights, which were well ahead of their time. The program was developed in the 1920s, but not published until the 1950s by Orton-Spalding, The Writing Road to Reading. Spalding was a student of the famous neurologist named Samuel Orton, who specialized in what are called learning disabilities, especially in the study of remedial treatment of severe reading disorder called dyslexia, which I'm sure we're all familiar with dyslexia. Lots of children suffer with it, and lots of adults suffer with it as well. I'm sure some of my audience, I'm sure some of my fellow educators suffer with dyslexia. And there is research actually done that suggests that phonics and the phonics for English Spalding method actually does help significantly with dyslexia. So that's great as well. Although Orton's approach is over 60 years old, it is still surprisingly sound neurologically. He foresaw many principles of the contemporary neuropsychology that awaited a new technology to be verifiable. He also saw logically how a brain must be instructed. He goes on to quote, Spalding had discovered that using Orton's methods, her disabled students were learning to read better than her normal students. So she adapted Orton's methods, adding some of the innovations of her own for all students. So yeah, that's pretty incredible. I know I keep using that word, but the fact that her learning impaired students were learning better than her just normal students. That's wow, that's incredible. In her book Schooling, hey, wait a minute. Come on now, there you go. In her book Schooling, 1990, Dr. Sylvia Farnham Diggory states, Spalding's most remarkable contribution is her invention of the marking system, which we will be going over later in these lessons, that enables children to connect spelling rules to reading. The marking system is the bridge that connects spelling to reading. After a few hours of practice, children find themselves, I'm going to zoom this in just a little bit more, spontaneously marking mentally words that they see on street signs, buildings, and so on. And yeah, this is absolutely true. You will see your child or your student / children / students. You will see them doing this. It's I remember doing this myself. And even to a certain degree, I mean, not really so much anymore today as an adult, but like there is still, certain word markings that do stand out to me, or that I do think about more often than others. Like the double underline was always one of my favorites of silent final E's. If you could have a silent word mark, if you could have a favorite word marking, is that weird that I have a favorite word marking? I'm a nerd. Sorry guys, I'm a nerd. They are developing, in effect, a coded sight vocabulary. They are not merely recognizing words by sight, but are at the same time recognizing what parts of them embody generalizable rules. This provides a student with guidelines for reading by analogy. So, a little bit about YesPhonics, a little bit about us. And this is my grandma talking here. This is her little foreword at the end. In 1990, I was introduced to Orton-Spalding's textbook for teachers, The Writing Road to Reading. I attended a 30-hour course to understand how to teach it. I was teaching the phonograms to my grandson, Cheyenne, that's me, when he entered Mrs. Jean Zier's first grade class in the midterm. He knew about half of the 72 Orton phonograms. That's right, my grandma and I were practicing the first, 30-some, which... Such a good memory, you guys. That's the other cool thing. I'll just take a quick pause. That is the other cool thing about this is that, not only are you going to be teaching your child how to read, spell, and write English, but they're going to have so many great memories. It's an awesome bonding experience with your children as well. They're going to have so many great memories from when they learned how to read. And I think that was my favorite part about it, was hanging out with my grandma, practicing these phonograms, just getting that dopamine hit every time I got the correct sounds, She goes on to say, his new classmates knew all of them. He was very worried and requested my help to catch up. She was right. I was worried about that. You don't ever want to be the dum-dum in the class. You don't want to be Dumbo. I visited his teacher. She told me not to worry because he would know all of the phonograms very shortly. And he did. Thanks, Graham. Cheyenne's first school production was a coloring book of phonogram illustrations with sound sequence captions. It was wonderful. It was the key to easily and quickly learn these essential elements of an outstanding, proven phonetic method. And just by the way, you guys, not to be shameless and plug the merch, but speaking of coloring phonograms, I do have what's a product called the Creative Coloring Book, and you can download that. I think I have that for $5.99. You can download that, and it has all of the phonograms and the captions and the mnemonics, and your child can not only color the phonograms, but then they can draw their own rendition in the Creative Coloring Book. So go ahead and check that out. It's one of my favorite products. I designed it a few years ago and have been, really proud of it ever since. And I think you guys will really enjoy it as well. And you can print as many of them as you want after you pay via PayPal. So that's cool. After receiving this highly successful public school tested addition to the Spalding method, I was compelled to research and develop programs for both experienced and inexperienced teachers, tutors, and parents. The program can be followed step by step through a sequence without previous training that allows the teacher to learn along with the student. And I think that's the coolest thing about this, you guys, is you don't have to have any special training. You don't even have to be worried that you don't know how to teach it. And one of my grandma's favorite sayings, especially when it came to this program, but just in general, like regarding anything that has to do with learning, just start. Just start. That's all you got to do. You just got to start. Just start. By third grade, Cheyenne read everything. He may not have known the meanings, but he could pronounce almost any word. Best wishes to you and your students. Sincerely, Pauline M. Adamson. So thank you very much for that, Graham. So yeah, I think that's where we'll leave off for today. I just wanted to give you guys an introduction to what will be the journey that we'll be proceeding upon. We will be going on a road. We'll be going on a journey and a fun adventure together. And I think your kids, your students, your children are going to reap all the rewards from this. The next lesson will be on the scope. We'll go over the scope for the next one, for the next video that I do. And I'm going to be releasing videos pretty much every Friday, you guys. And I may at some point try to ramp it up to Mondays and Fridays. But for now, expect a video every Friday, and I'm going to kind of oscillate back and forth between podcasts and these strictly educational videos. Thank you very much for tuning in, watching, and listening. And like I said, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the description below. Go ahead and check out all of our products in the Fetch app store. You can download them. They'll automatically send them to you. All you have to do is pay through PayPal. Super easy, super quick. It's automatic. And you get all these amazing phonics products. And you can just start teaching. Just start right now. So that's awesome. Until next time, my fellow educators, be well and stay classy.